Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something that's going to be a very controversial statement, and of course you guys know it's not like me to make controversial statements at all, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that in my observations over the years, in my own knowledge of nutritional science, that actually many of the gym bros out there actually end up following better nutrition plans and getting better results with their body composition as a result of it than many of the evidence-based guys who like to use that term. And I don't always like that term because to me evidence-based should mean a hell of a lot more than just what you pull up in a few abstracts on some studies. And unfortunately that's a lot of what popped up as the evidence-based, and that's a lot of where we saw the flexible dieting and if it fits your macros. And we saw an interesting thing happen there. We saw people promoting not only eating junk food, but saying, hey, you can eat these things in moderation, you can do this, you can do that. And that is true. That is actually true. Many of those people absolutely got lean. Many of those people gained muscle. Many of those people recompositioned their body while doing this, while still eating their junk food and their Pop-Tarts and their ice cream and everything else. But we also saw a whole new host of eating disorders emerge out of this, didn't we? And I did take the video down out of respect for the young man because he was concerned it would cause issues with his career in the long term. So out of respect for that, I did remove an interview I had done years ago with a young man who admitted that the flexible dieting approach he used for a contest prep massively further contributed to an eating disorder, and he became obsessive with tracking everything. And that creates its own set of problems, obviously, but I don't want to spend a lot of time harping on that here. What I want to get to is the fact that many guys out there who are gym bros have successfully over the years followed whole food diets who don't track anything. They don't track calories. They don't track macros, who have successfully bulked while gaining relatively small amounts of body fat. Very successful clean bulks, who then successfully also cut while maintaining muscle mass without tracking a damn thing. And to a lot of people, particularly people who bought really into the if it fits your macros and its evidence-based approach, that doesn't seem like it should work. But that's the reality, guys. Plenty of people, before anyone tracked their calories, even went and did bodybuilding years ago. All those golden era guys, you think most of them tracked their calories? Think any of them knew how many grams of protein or fat they ate or carbs? You really think that? They were successful, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've watched guys follow certain bro approaches, and I'm going to break down a little bit of why this actually works. I've seen guys who I know for a fact, personal friends, people I've known over the years who were natty, legit natties, not YouTube natty, not this like guys claim to be natty online, and they aren't. I've known people who were legit natties who I've watched use bro-style eating, who bulked, got reasonably big for a natty. Actually what you would say, okay, that's a respectable amount of muscle mass and strength for a natty, and then cut down and without ever tracking anything, maintain their size, maintain their strength, and got a hell of a lot leaner than I am right now. I mean, I'm obviously nowhere near the leanest person on YouTube. I don't think anyone's in denial of that. But guys who I watched do this without any drugs, hold on to their muscle mass, and get way leaner than I am right now. I've seen guys do this and get under 10% body fat without drugs and without tracking. And a lot of people would say, well, they're still obviously in a caloric deficit. Of course they are. But the point is, you don't have to sit around tracking anything to create a caloric deficit, and you don't have to track macros. Let's look at traditional bro eating, and let's look at that from a health perspective. You see all the time chicken breast, brown rice, broccoli, and then some sort of fat-free or very low-fat dairy thrown in, right? Whether it's, God forbid, protein shakes, Greek yogurt, skim milk, low-fat or fat-free dairy thrown into that mix. Particularly since most modern dairy is vitamin fortified. You guys see any nutritional deficiencies there? Go pull that up. Go pull up a 3,000 calorie diet that is comprised of brown rice, chicken breast, broccoli, and skim milk you buy at the grocery store. Find a vitamin deficiency in there with 3,000 calories. You won't. Even people say, what about magnesium? You ever seen the magnesium intake in brown rice? People talking about supplementing magnesium clearly don't eat brown rice and beans and stuff like that, or they wouldn't be talking about that. Now, that being said, very balanced diet. Diet like that's very low fat, plenty of quality carbs, all the micronutrients are there. That is a balanced diet. You don't need a single vitamin. Maybe D3, but even that's in the milk. So, pretty balanced diet. Primary calorie source is going to be carbs. It's going to be high protein, very high carb, high fiber, low fat. If you follow a diet approach like that, what do we know based upon the science, the evidence? You're going to gain less fat on a bulk on a diet like that. You will gain less fat. And it's not because it's clean. It's because you have strong nutrient partitioning and you have very little fat in the diet. A diet like that for someone who's resistance training, they're going to maintain a very high level of insulin sensitivity, and they're only going to store the fat they eat. So if their diet is comprised of very low fat, no more than a couple hundred calories of fat a day on a diet like that, that's all the body fat they're going to be physically capable of gaining on a bulk. Even if they're in a fairly robust surplus, they're going to gain body fat very slowly. They are also keeping full muscle glycogen stores, plenty of protein for reconstructing everything, good balance. Those people are going to stay leaner when they bulk. Then people who follow these, if it fits your macros approaches, who work in their treats, who end up eating something like sometimes 25% of their calories from fat. Is that pretty common in diets like that? Plenty of processed foods. You're going to find when you really look at the data out there, those people are going to gain less fat than the people who ate the exact same calories on if it fits your macros. And it's because of the fat content more than anything else, and sometimes the lower quality nutrient sources. It does factor into metabolism. It does factor into energy turnover. It does factor into recovery, and recovery will affect muscle growth, and then fat gain versus muscle growth in your caloric surplus. Furthermore, because a diet like that is very low in fat, very filling too, that even if you ate even more calories, a bit more calories than the person on a different approach, you're still going to gain slightly less body fat. So it's going to be easier for them to transition into a cut. They're going to be able to gain the same muscle with less fat. And sometimes even on more calories, which again is going to allow for faster muscle gain. Calories are anabolic. Then when they go to cut, a lot of these guys, all they do is cut their portion sizes back a bit. And they add cardio. You know, they add cardio. You might have a guy who had a 2,800, 2,900 maintenance, eating 3,500 calories roughly, because that's about, he just noticed the scale going up and keeps his portions high. In fact, the scale isn't going to go up much more even if he added more calories, because you're not going to store fat on a diet like that far beyond the fat composition of the diet. You're going to burn it off through thermogenesis, thermic effect, because of the composition of the diet. That is still calories out. Then they go to cut, and a guy like that starts adding in 300 calories of cardio a day and cuts down his calories, cuts his portion sizes a little bit, cuts about 1 cup of his brown rice out a day. That'd be a dry cup. Ends up eating, 2,900 calories, roughly, ballpark. Still high calorie diet. Adds a few hundred calories of cardio, and the scale starts going down. He starts burning fat. Back to the other point, what do we know about higher carb, high fiber, high protein diets that are low fat? You lose slightly more body fat while retaining muscle mass slightly better than a lot of other than higher fat diets. We know that. Carbs are more anabolic than fat. Carbs are less fattening than fat. So they're still on a high carb, high protein, low fat diet. That is ultimately better for body composition. And if they've upped their cardio, increasing cardio while keeping calories high is a fantastic way to alter body composition. It's a fantastic way to be able to eat more to keep the anabolic effect of your food while creating a deficit without having to really restrict food intake as much. Again, better preservation of muscle mass. The extra cardio can help with their recovery. Again, can be beneficial when calories come down and recovery is reduced from training. So guys who do methods like this and follow a bro diet, doesn't have to be brown rice. I use that because it's a common example. How about oats? How about potatoes? Sweet potatoes, yams? Any of these other starchy, high nutrient carbohydrate sources. What if they could replace it with that? You'll get the exact same effect. It's the exact same thing. These guys oftentimes pull this off eating bro as hell. They oftentimes end up bulking leaner, and they cut easier and retain muscle mass better. Yet people want to say, well, that's an inferior method because they're not tracking, and we all know it's calories in, calories out, and macros that matter. Yeah, it is. But just because you guys are tracking it doesn't mean that you're actually making better food choices than they are towards your goals. And that's what people forget. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.